Everybody. I see we have some sprinkles of red throughout the audience. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, and we're still celebrating Black History Month and CTE Month, and next week is #LoveTeaching. So put that out. And last week was Counselors Month, so we're just a happy celebrating group. If you will, please stand and we'll say the pledge. Thank you very much. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move to reports. Ms. Newton, do you have a report?
I have a couple of things. One, I was invited to attend a program, session on Wednesday in the development of the Arkansas STEM model program, which is striving to develop an exemplar or an example of the best practices for what a STEM model school would look like. And it was some rich conversations, and I just want to give out a shout out to Ms. Smith's team, Pam Vaughn and Michelle Snyder and Dr. Tina Moore. They're doing an excellent job. I know they're working very hard, and I'm really excited about what this is going to do to bring forward some great STEM schools in our state. And one piece of news on the ESSA front, I know all of you know the report cards were released on Monday, and there are a few new and exciting things there, and so Ms. Kaufman is going to share with us some of the new features that the report cards have.
Thank you. I wish I could take credit for them. I wish I was that smart, but luckily I have smart friends, smart colleagues. So Regent Sarkar and his team in the Office of Information Technology does such a fabulous job for us. So there's a brand new feature on the report cards this year. In the red bar at the top where you see search, compare, analyzer, you see a new button that says report card. And so with our new link, and go ahead and click on that, Dan. So if you notice up in the URL, it changes. There's a /SRC school report card /. So that's the link that we sent out Monday when we announced the release of the report card. That is a quick link, quick, fast connection right to the report card. And that was something, if you recall, before you went to the My School Info page, had to type in the name and a couple of steps. And you can still get there that way. It's still connected on the front of our website. Everything that you've known is the same, except this new feature.
Let me interrupt you just a minute there. So if I have already, because I put as an app on my phone so I could just quickly go to it, do I need to then put it, will it correct itself on that, or do I need to go back and do it again?
So you probably want to leave what you've got there and have that one, but what you want to do is come back and bookmark this new web address, and so you'll have one that takes you directly to the report card.
Okay, thank you.
So the way this new feature works is it shows you the full list of all of our schools and report cards. And this is really important because sometimes our schools change their names and their LEA numbers and see like that. We don't see a lot of the districts doing that, except for when we created Jacksonville North Pulaski. That was a new district LEA. But our schools do change periodically. The nice thing about this is you'll be able to go up there and change the dates and look back, and you'll see those previous LEAs that may not be in operation, or they've changed their names or something like that. So you can kind of see a little history of the schools within the district. But so the really cool features about this is you can type in the name of the school that you want. You can look at the name button there and look at the alphabet and say, oh, I want to see Hoxie High School. I could click that H and go right to the H's and scroll right to Hoxie High School. So really what it's doing is it's giving you a full list of all of the schools, and then when you click H, it's dropping down to the H's very quickly, just as a time saver Just another way that we're serving the public. If you click on LEA number, depending on what your role is in the state, a lot of schools know their LEA numbers, and that's just how they operate. You can do the same thing. It's going to put those numbers in order, and you can click very quickly to them. At all of the features, over to the side, you'll see a little eyeball. If you click on the eyeball, it's going to let you see the report card. It's going to bring you back into that full report card like you see here with all of our modules to the left. If you will notice that our modules now have a little color code beside them. Green means that all of the data are available, and as you know, we're 2.5 months early with this report card. I don't want to spoil our surprise, but next year we're going to be even earlier. So Argent had to build a color coding system because not all of the data are available to us until different cycles within our data submission. So if you'll notice, you'll see green and yellow, and there could be red in the future, so we're trying to let people know about that. Green means all of the data are available in that module. Yellow means some data are still missing and will be filled in as soon as it's received by the agency. Red means that module doesn't have enough data to say partial. And so I'll give you an example of why that happens. School board member hours is a state requirement that we report the number of hours a school board member has. Their cycle goes from January to December. So they didn't even complete their PD until December 31st. It then comes into, I think it's cycle 5, which is, what is today? So it's in the closing stage of that. Then that data then has to be processed and then loaded into the system. So not everything could be moved up because there's different timelines within state law. So those are new features. You're going to see, once again, the great hoverovers for whichever module you want to look at. If you want to print, it's now going to print you in a nice linear report card. And even as you're scrolling through, so if you were over on the right side of this page and you're just scrolling up and reading, it's just going to automatically start moving you down the modules on the left-hand side. So it's really some amazing features. So, all right, Dan, if you'll take us back. The third feature that I want to show you is letter grade. And Argent always brings us a surprise, and we're really excited about this one. Lots of times questions are asked about who has A's, B's, C's. So if I want to sort, first of all, this is going to give you that full report of all schools and where they are sorted by A, B, C's, D's, and F's. But if I want to look very quickly at who has A's, I can click the A, and they're all sorted, or any other letter. Then, if I want to go back and say, okay, now how did Benton High School get that A? I'm going to go to the letter A, click on it, and it's going to take me back to our one-pager, our at-a-glance, to let me look at the school. And then if I scroll down just a little bit more to the all students, and I say, I want to open up that full ESSA school index and go back in there, this is just another quick link. So what I think Argent's been able to do is anticipate how the user might use these documents. And so he's put the links in all those different places. So there's several ways to get to the ESSA school index report, but he's tried to make it intuitive to the user. So Dan, if you'll take us back to the home of My School Info, can you take us back there? I think if you go to the search button, it might take you back. In the red bar, right there. And scroll down just a little bit. So we're at 2.8 million users, and we would love to move over the 3 million. So if you'll tell all of your friends, family, colleagues, it's Valentine's Day gift. It's just a great tool. Inside, the report card is a letter from the commissioner, And in that letter, if you'll take the opportunity to read that, is a link where we're asking for feedback on the report card. And so I would encourage every Arkansan to check out the report card and give us feedback so that every year as we make improvements to the report card, that we're truly making the improvements that our users want.
Excellent. And please, please, please tell Argent how valued he is.
Yes.
And
I tried to get him to come today, but he's working on a project that, you know how he is when he's focused.
yeah, well,
We appreciate him and we leave him alone.
well,
Every time I think about something becoming user-friendly, I think about when VCRs came out and RCA had the most user-friendly, so they sold way more than everybody else. So, you know, there's a pattern and an advantage for the user-friendly, particularly for people who don't do it all the time,
yes.
because then they don't have to think, now, which button do I, you know. So thank you very much to Arjun and your whole team.
Thank you. We strongly believe in the theory that transparency leads to trust.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's what we've tried to do is you can trust in our accountability system because you know everything that goes on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Excellent job. Last thing, we were supposed to have an ESSA meeting at the end of this month, but some of the data's not quite ready, so we're going to postpone our next ESSA meeting until April 1st. Will be our next ESSA meeting. It'll be from 9:30 to 11:30. And that's all I have.
I see Kim is here. Do y'all have a family engagement report? Do you have one? Any updates you need to give us?
I can share updates if you would like them.
This is, okay, that'd be good. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Ms. Dean had to be out today.
Good morning, Kim Wright. I'm the Director of Family and Community Engagement, Public School Accountability. And so thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I mean, what better topic to talk about than engagement on Valentine's Day? So thank you for that. I'm glad to share for the last several months, the FACE team has been reviewing the Family and Community Engagement Plan, district plans. We have finished that first round review. We were reviewing for state and federal requirements. Excuse me. And we were looking for where there were strengths, where we needed to provide more support. And so what we did in response to that is yesterday we provided a webinar where we provided supports on the areas in which we saw trending that people might need a little more assistance with. We hope that we answered all their questions, and we will be posting that on the DESI website as soon as we get that from Team Digital. And in addition to that, we have several opportunities coming up in the next few months that we're going to be out in and across the state where people can continue to ask us questions and get clarification, and we can provide additional support to that and just the continued messaging of the importance of FACE. And we especially are trying to really put out there our engagement in action, stakeholder collaboration that we have out there. And so that's an important piece to getting people around a table talking about the needs and the concerns of their communities and their schools. So those will be things that we continue, to push out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. McAdoo, do you have a report today?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it from here and
Oh,
talk to
okay.
you this way. It's a lot. So for the last 4 weeks, I've been in a different state every week. I think the last time we met, I was headed to the national championship in New Orleans, and that was amazing. We received a personal message and book from Mrs. Obama, and the President and the First Lady joined us on the field at the championship. The overall message there, 'cause in addition to the championship, it's not just about going to the game, we also have professional development and that type of thing, was about allies and accomplices, that you have to be more than an ally. You have to be willing to give up your privilege and step up and speak up when you see injustices happening. Following there, I went to minority and women leadership training in Florida. Again, I guess the biggest takeaway there is I helped to organize and conduct a campaign in less than 36 hours, and we were all panicking and everything. So that was a very different experience that I had never had before. The biggest takeaway there and the focus there was also on how to be anti-racist, and they gave very specific strategies and training on that. So when we were earlier this week, or yesterday, all my days run together, when I saw that one of the recommendations in an earlier case here was about culturally relevant books and training and stuff, all of that was right in line with what we were learning and reading and discussing. Following there, I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico for the SEAT, which is the Systems of Elevating Excellent Teaching. And the strand that I'm a part of is beyond recognition, and it's about how to elevate teacher voice. And once you get this award, how do you make it more than about recognition and award? And that was on the state level. And then I went to Washington, D.C. for, I got an award at the Salute to Excellence in Teaching. And we met, one of the PDs that we had there was by Principal Portell, who's in Tennessee. And his school is a trauma-informed school, and they have lots of requests and visits to come and see him. But he offered very specific strategies for teachers to take back. We also had a PD on self-care, which was all about how to incorporate meditation and self-care rituals, not just for the teacher, but also for the students in the classrooms and in the building. Thurgood Marshall's son was one of the presenters, and he talked to us again about how to be anti-racist. So it was like my whole month was really, really in-depth about how to use your voice. Finally, when I returned, I went to the Teacher Leadership Institute up at Petty Jean Mountain, and we're coming to a close there. So now that focus was all about pulling our action research together, and again, how to elevate teacher voice and talk about messaging and everything. So in between all of that, I still did school visits, still did poetry workshops, podcasts, blogs, all of that type of stuff. And as you mentioned earlier, this is the beginning of Love Teaching Week. So next week we have a lot of specific activities that we're rolling out. I'll be doing a teacher lounge takeover on Wednesday. And then there are two upcoming summits next week, the Impact and Teacher Summit and the Retention and Recruitment Summit. And I think I covered almost everything.
And in between you breathed, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Dr. Moore, do you have reports?
You know, I did. This year I've been doing the RISE K2 training.
Right.
And I've learned so much. It's been awesome. So this month I got to visit Greenbrier School District and see RISE in action, see professional learning communities in action, and it was just an awesome visit.
Yeah.
All of their elementary schools have an early morning intervention for all students in the school. So I got to go to that and see how that worked, and see students getting really great instruction.
Yeah, well, that was a good school to visit for sure.
It was a great visit. And,
Okay, great.
That's it for now.
Great. Mr. Williamson, anything to add? No. Okay. On the special ed front, the curriculum and assessment team has begun the collaborative work to develop an alternative English language proficiency test for English learners with the most significant cognitive disabilities. The assessment will be called the ALT-ELPA and is being developed by the collaborative of 11 states, or a collaborative of 11 states. A team member was also selected to be an item writer for the Dynamic Learning Maps Alternative Assessment, and that's always nice when one of our own gets recognized to do something. And then the special ed unit has provided professional development to the entire Prescott School District and the special education staff at Fayetteville School District on inclusive practices. This training is called No Limits and focuses on guiding school teams to be more inclusive in their educational practices, from the way they train staff to how they consider the individual needs of students to provide greater access to general ed settings. Though this training, school teams are exposed to high leverage practices and challenges to consider all students as general ed students first, this training will be offered. I know when I used to help with parent training of new parents with handicapped children, we tried to always help them realize that you're a child first, and then the other things that go along with that, if you're handicapped or if you're short or if you're tall or whatever the issue is, but you're always a child first, and to focus on that. Okay, now we have the preschool report. I can always tell when preschool people are in the room because they're energetic and smiles and give you feedback, and they know we can see you, and so, yeah, here you are. Miss Susan Underwood and Jackie Goban.
Yes.
Good morning. Susan
Good morning.
Underwood with Arkansas Better Chance, the ABC program under the Learning Services. We wanted to come and show you that we are a united front.
Yeah, you're gonna have to really get there.
Okay.
That'll be hard for two of
Yeah.
you, but just pull
But-
it back and forth.
We wanted to be together to show you that we are working with our children and our educators and our communities across Arkansas in a united front. Tanya Williams wasn't able to be here
Oh, there's
today,
two, so.
but I have some information that will kind of cover that as well. You want to go first?
Okay, I'm Jackie Govan, Director for the Head Start State Collaboration Office, which is under the umbrella of the Arkansas Head Start Association. As Director for the Collaboration Office, you know, we serve 22 programs across the state with approximately almost 10,000 children. So, you want to go ahead and do the report? Okay, you all are receiving a handout. It's a little booklet that has information on our programs, as well as an additional handout that I'll talk about last. The first thing that I want to call your attention to, please disregard the date, because I thought I was presenting in January, so I was ready last month.
Better to be early than late.
There you go. So the purpose of, as Susan said, but mainly too, I wanted everybody to understand what we do for early Head Start in the state of Arkansas. On the front of the packet, you have a map. It's a clickable map that's actually on our website. And once you click on a county, it shows you all the programs that's actually in that county. But we serve Head Start, Early Head Start Child Care Partnership, and then also Migrant Seasonal Head Start. If you look on page 1, you can see the icons that show you exactly where those programs are located. I know it looks a bit heavy on the map, but you can see the distinctions with that. We have, as I said before, on page 1 at the bottom of the program, it also has the breakdown of our programs. And then, of course, you have a fact sheet on the Head Start State Collaboration Office and our mission and vision statement for the Arkansas Head Start Association Board. We have statistical data included in the report. The data is structured as funded enrollment for all of the programs that I mentioned to you, as well as children by age, the homeless, foster care, as well as ethnicity and race. Now, I do have additional data. We have what's called a program information report, where I have access as a person with the federal government and working with the state of Arkansas, and that's how all programs are required to submit their information every year, and that's where we pull our data from. We also have information showing in the statistical data on the primary languages of the children who are served in the program, as well as comprehensive services. Now, when I say comprehensive services, Head Start is the only program in the state that actually provides comprehensive services. Those services include education, disability services, health, oral health, mental health. We provide a lot of the mental health services for families as well. And it has also, we are under the umbrella of the Head Start Act, as well as the Head Start Program Performance Standards, which you have just a synopsis, it's a book about this thick, but you have, I simplified it for you in the booklet that you're actually looking at.
Thank you.
All of the programs are on the back of the book on page 15 to 17. On page 15, you see the icons for all the other initiatives that we provide, such as Reading is Electric, our Fatherhood Dads Reading on the Carpet, as well as our powerful interaction cafes with dads, and then our Arkansas Imagination Library. I serve on the board for the Arkansas Imagination Library. All of these support our grade level reading campaign, and we work directly with our Reading is Electric. We work directly with the programs where we have fraternities, sororities, grandparents go into the program. We're in the middle of our readathon now. It always runs from January to March, and then at our conference in April. It's a little competitive, but it's a win-win for everybody because the children get to hear all kinds of stories and how books can come alive. So we're really excited about that. In 2015, we had the honor of receiving a W.K. Kellogg grant where we redid our child development early learning standards. We took two. We had standards for infants and toddlers, and we also had standards for 3 to 5. So we used those funding. We put a committee together, and we now have a seamless system of child development early learning standards from birth to 5. And we also, with that grant, we put in place, I heard Kim give her report. We've been working with, I serve on her committee also, and we put together in 2015 a family engagement guide framework as well as a self-assessment. And what I've done for the Early Head Start and Head Start program is turn that family engagement self-assessment into a survey where for the first time this year we will be able to analyze the family outcomes that we're using in the programs to see how they're working, and that will be in my next 5-year report, so I'll be more than happy to share that data with you. We also have what's called the Equity Leaders Action Network. I was selected as a fellow for the National Build Initiative, whereby I never received funding, but the National Build Initiative received funding to work with 38 fellows in states all across the U.S., and I was one of them. As a result, what that meant for Arkansas was we were able to survey teachers, parents, and administrators to see what their needs were regarding racial equity, eliminating disparities. We even went around the state and conducted equity cafes because they said people don't want to talk about race, but if you let them know that the data is going to be used but their name's not tied to it, oh man, they kept us over hours that we had scheduled, but it was great. So that information was used and analyzed to put together 5 goals for the state of Arkansas. This was a 3-year project. I graduated from the ELAN last year in December of 2018, and I'm happy to say we now have goals that are focused on what we've put together, the committee, the state committee. It's called Stepping Up to Racial Equity in Arkansas. We are looking for funding, but it has a step for public awareness that look at microaggression, illicit bias. We have a step for teachers. The 3rd step is for parents and family, community people. And then the 4th is for the administration. And we went a step further for legislators so that they can know when it comes to policy and what other programs need that we would definitely include and actually work with them on those things. And then, of course, we have a fatherhood mentoring program where we went into the high schools to work with 11th and 12th graders who had infants and toddlers. And that's a 7-month program where Sidney Moncrief, former NBA Hall of Fame, trained with me as we went across the state to work with dads on particular issues of how to engage with their children. So we train mentors who go into the high school from October to April. And then we provide gifts for them for Christmas to give to their children. And then, of course, we have a graduation that's coming up in April where we have a guest speaker. And then we invite legislators, superintendents, and principals to those schools. So we're really excited about it. This is our 3rd year for the mentoring program. And then, of course, the last thing, and this is the handout that you have, is our School Readiness Summit. It's coming up our 9th year. In April, we're working with Dr. Bougeron, who is the director for the Office of Head Start, and she has a charge like no other for making sure that we have the collaboration with Head Start and the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education. Our focus for the School Readiness Summit, as you see there on the handout, is for TTK, Transition to Kindergarten, as well as collaboration and partnership. We have so many states that's designated across the United States, but because Arkansas has been doing this, a lot of states do not. We've been doing this. Like I said, we're in our 9th year. We were selected to be a part of this data collecting that we have to submit by June. We usually have our summit in the fall. We had to move it up because the data is due in June. So we're really excited about that. The flyer identifies, we have 11 members who attend an annual summit every year. They may have more people on their committee in their community, but only 11 comes. But this shows the collaboration where we include elementary principals, kindergarten teachers, Head Start, ABC, home base. We even have a parent that serves on that committee also, but it has the list of the 11 members who participate. And so with this year, we're focusing on the collaboration and transition to kindergarten in hopes of collecting data. We're going to be looking at what all entails transition plans. Head Start's required to do transition plans, but as we pull the whole teams together, we're going to talk about some ways that they can complete their plans and how that they can collaborate with one another. Are there any questions?
That was an excellent report. Is it a blended funding, or is it federal all, or?
The early Head Start child care, or for the School Readiness Summit, or for the only one that's blended is the early Head Start Child Care Partnership, and we have 3 cohorts, and that is with Head Start dollars, and this is for infants and toddlers, early Head Start. They partner with child care. We're trying to raise the standards for child care, and so the blended funding is with CCDF and Head Start.
Okay, so federal and state.
Yes.
And then Head Start itself, is it the same sort of funding?
Head Start is strictly
I'm thinking
federal.
3-year-olds,
Yeah, 3 to 5, that's strictly Head Start funding.
And
There's no blended funding.
right, that's all federal.
Now, that is all federal. However, you can go into a Head Start program and you will have a combination in some of these programs with Head Start children, ABC children, and CCDF.
Right.
It's not blended funding, it's a totally separate,
Right.
but they can serve those children.
Now, and I'm assuming it's okay, but I know up in my area, if there are seats that are not used by children who, quote, qualify, then sometimes a parent pays for the child to go there, so.
Not in Head Start, nobody pays.
Well,
now-
maybe not.
Not in Head Start. This is how it works in Head Start. 10% of their funded enrollment is reserved for parents who may be over income because
that's
we
right.
want the mix,
Yeah.
but they don't pay.
Okay, well, I'm mistaken there, but
That's
I knew
okay.
they were over income, so,
Yes, yes.
but it's a great opportunity for kids.
Oh, excellent,
Right.
yes.
And in the areas where you have hippie,
Mm-hmm.
also, do you see that those parents, when they send their child to Head Start and then on to pre-K, that they are continue to stay more involved and understand better how to work with their child at home?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
What we have in Arkansas was called the Arkansas Home Visiting
Right.
Network, and that is a combination. Head Start has a home-based program.
Right.
Hippie has a home-based program. We have bringing babies back home, nurse to child care partnership. All of us meet together on a monthly basis to talk about ways to collaborate. And if you go on the Arkansas Home Visiting website, you're going to see an intro of every last one of the home visiting programs.
Yeah, very good, yeah. Anybody have any more questions about this?
I did. So it looks like there's about 10,000 students. Is that capped by the federal government in funding, or is there room in that to grow each year?
There is room for, we haven't had any expansion. We've actually had some of our programs to do conversions to cover infants and toddlers. But the funding is set for the 3 to 5. Now, we do have just about the past 4 years, we've had early Head Start expansion where they can get to apply for funding to increase the number of infants and toddlers, which is great.
How many centers have infants and toddlers? I'm sure it says in here.
The centers that have infants, well, now you're going to have infants and toddler, we have one standalone program for early Head Start. And then we have the program that serve birth to 5, which is infants and toddler all the way to age 5. So the numbers vary. If you just want to know early Head Start, then we have probably about 8 programs. We have 22 programs in the state, but those programs, the 8 that I'm sharing, it may not be just infants and toddler.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Now
I
then
do
you.
have a slideshow
Good.
that gives you a little bit of history. And I know that a lot of times when I talk to people, we talk about old money versus new money. Dan, do you have that up? Oh, Lordy. Well, I sent
Well,
it
do you
to
want to come
Gina
back next
and,
month? I mean, that's okay, unless you think that you're. Okay.
Okay, I am so sorry.
No, no, don't be sorry. It's not like we're pressed for time.
I want to put that, the field sergeant in Calico Rock guy, because a lot of times people try to email to me and then hit the wrong name and it ends up going up.
Okay.
Well, I'll just run to Calico and pick it up.
How about if I just go ahead and start? How about that?
That's up to you.
Okay. Well, maybe some of you know that ABC started in 1991. And we, at a level funding of $10 million, serving approximately 5,000 to 6,000 children. It was based on income, developmental, economic risk. Then in 2001, there was an excise tax, a 3% excise tax on beer that generated another $13 million, allowing another 8,000 children. And as soon as we get this slideshow, you'll see all of that. Then you have your old money from 1991 up to 2003. 2003 started the new money, and I know you think 2003 that's not really new money, but in the books it is. Okay. Then that's where the legislators created Arkansas Better Chance School for Success, ABCSS, which focuses only on serving 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Okay, so that increased with the $40 million. Then in 2005, another appropriation for $20 million was generated, combining state revenue and TANF. 2005, there was an excise tax on beer, a 3% on beer. 2007, that appropriation, it increased a total of $111 million for ABC programs, increasing to serve children. There we go. I think I'm maybe on page 3 or 4.
And if you could later send that to us too, because sometimes we can absorb
I
it
will
at home.
definitely. There we go. Okay, so then in 2015, we were allowed to have 1.5 million one-time funding. And so that was distributed across the programs as a COLA to help out. Because at that time, in trying to do all the research, I pulled every type of document that I could find, either electronically or paper, to try to find out how much did we start providing per child rate. It's very difficult if records were not kept or records were kept in somebody's head. So it's hard to follow that. So I know that when I came 5 years ago, we were at a flat level funding per child for several years. Then in 2017, the governor gave us another $3 million, wanted us to really focus on teacher quality, encouraging, enhancing innovation in the pre-K programs. So we did that for 2 years, and then we knew that we had not increased the level of funding per child in many, many years. And as you know, if you've ever done a business, it's difficult as costs start rising, cost of living starts raising, salaries rise, and then we also knew that the minimum wage was going to rise. So that's going to affect our program. So 2019, we raised the base per child and you can see, 4966 for those children in center-based, and 1856 for those in home visiting. That doesn't seem like a lot, but $106 per child across the state, that was the $3 million right there. Yes, go ahead.
And the cost per child for early Head Start is $12,000 per child, and then for 3 to 5, it's about $6,000.
So you see, we're working the best we can with the amount that we have. We want to serve as many children as possible. So it's hard to say, okay, we're going to raise it up to this level and do your best to serve as many children as you can. So our programs are working diligently to figure all this out. I've had many calls for this next round of minimum wage increase. Susan, how are we going to do it? So we're looking at a lot of things. We're looking at the cost to run the programs. We're looking at salaries. We're looking at all sorts of things. Can you partner with somebody? If you're partnering with somebody, can you redo the MOU where they would maybe cover some more expenses? And then as we go through, just like Jackie was talking about, you have those core components in your programs that are essential to make sure that they are quality programs. One of those in both of our programs are your staff qualifications. In ABC, the teachers, they have to have a degree in early childhood or child development. The paraparos, the minimum of a CDA, Child Development Associates. We do the lower teacher-child ratio. Infants, it's 1 to 4, toddlers 1 to 7, preschool 3, 4, and 5-year-olds 1 to 10. Instructional time is 178 days, 7 hours per day. We provide staff development across the state. Our teachers and parapros are required to have 30 hours of staff development. Within that, I called DHS, and they gave me these quotes in 1819. Of course, we haven't finished 1920. We had 3,294 trainings provided for 44,871 early childhood participants. Now, this includes Head Start. It includes several types of early childhood people across the state. Just like Jackie said, we have programs that have braided funding. So they get funding from several different sources. So therefore, you can't really say this training is only for ABC teachers. We even encourage those early childhood programs in the community to come and participate with us, because all those children are our children in that community. And you'll also know that pre-K literacy, currently, for years, we've had the pre-K Ella that aligned with Ella. Now that we're changing to RISE, we're revising it and aligning with RISE, and we will soon have pre-K RISE that will go along and support, help our teachers, help those children have that base before they get to elementary.
I know it's not required legally, but do you all do dyslexia screening in the pre-Ks? Because more and more now they're saying the earlier.
Right.
Do you?
We
Okay.
do. Our teachers are trained and receiving training on that to see the signs. Yes.
Right, good.
And then part of our requirements for ABC is that we have the health, which is vision and hearing, and the child development screenings. And let me just tell you, these type of screenings definitely help. We've had several children, and I have a picture up in our office of one little girl up in Northwest Arkansas that now has glasses because she had the vision screening. Several across the state are in special programs for the hearing or the vision or whatever it is that we have. We do have the parent and community engagement activities. We have a list of curriculum that they use that align with what Jackie was talking about, the Arkansas Child Development and Early Learning Standards for birth through 60 months. We do child evaluations through OUNCE, which is birth up to 3, and then work sampling, which is 3 to 5. And these are individual portfolios for each of the children. We also do the learning environment, the rating scales for ERS, environmental rating scales. So In the early childhood, it is the Eckers. Infants, it is the Itters. And then for the family care homes, it is the Vickers. And some of the supporting pieces that we have, Jackie was talking about a data system. We have a COPA data system that pulls that. We could run reports. We can run reports on the children, the families, the staff. The early childhood special ed, they work with us on the screenings and services across the communities. They will provide services for children in the center base or in the home or wherever it is that the parents feel more comfortable. The mental health, we also have the screening and the services. The longitudinal research study, and you'll see pieces of that in just a little bit, but that is annually mandated for us to have on our children. DHS, all programs have to have a license, a child care license. So there is a minimum licensing requirement. So all of our programs follow that. The child and adult care food program, a child nutrition, our programs provide snacks. They provide the breakfast, the snacks, the lunch, and then afternoon snacks as well. Better Beginnings is a quality level for the programs. They're currently revising that, so they'll be going not only to 1, 2, and 3 stars, but they're going up above that, 4, 5, and 6 stars.
Which are optional. That means you have to, like, say, for example, the family engagement guy. Can y'all hear me? Okay. The family engagement.
Go ahead and use the microphone.
Okay.
I think it's the
Oh, okay.
viewing public that
All
can.
right. The family engagement guide has 134 strategies. So it is part of the levels 4, 5, and 6. So level 4, you may have to do from 1 to 30. Level 5, you may have to complete, 31 to, 50 and so forth and so forth. So the level 6 is just, it's heavy duty, for you to really show, when we say enhanced quality,
Right.
that's the choice that programs will have to get. Now, they do levels 1, 2, 3, but 4, 5, and 6, they'll have to work on their own to get to level 6.
Mm-hmm. But in ABC, we may be strongly encouraging even to the point of requiring, because we know that those are higher quality.
Right.
Or can be, should be. Then our partners, and as you can see, as Jackie and I have been talking, your Child Care Development Funds, CCDF, the federal pre-K, when we do federal pre-K funds, funding those children 3, 4, and 5, they follow the same ABC rules and regs in their programs. We have children that are served through vouchers. We have children that are served through foster vouchers. We strongly, just like Head Start and Early Head Start, when children are in foster care, we have worked with the foster case workers to make sure that those children are put in immediately. So we work with them, and as well as homeless. When children come to our program and we've identified that they're homeless, these families are struggling, we automatically make sure that they have a place that they can be served. Your Early Head Start partnership, just like Jackie has described, Early Head Start, Head Start, we even have foundations across the state that are helping to support. One of those that has been strong for several years now is in the Endeavor Foundation. It's a family foundation. Now, they will serve children in Benton and Washington County because that's where their funding source is. So they've been able to assist us, in serving over another 420 children this year in that area. Private, Ms. Zuki, you were talking about private. In ABC, we allow, not that they're taking an ABC spot,
No.
but they have additional space that families can pay in order for their children to be served. We have many of our school districts that allow their school employees or even community. And it's a complement to any program that families in the community want their children in that program, that it's not just for certain type of children, but it's a good quality program. So some of the parents, some of the programs, they scholarship those families. Some of them will pay, even on a sliding fee scale.
Right.
School districts, they pay scholarships. not all, but some have embraced that to do scholarships. Some have used some general revenue to support early childhood, whether it's salary or cost or even providing a space and utilities.
Is that like what they use ESSA money for? That, well, it used to be NSLA money. Is that how they
They
They can,
Yes.
because I always wondered why you could use that money on pre-K when it's K-12 money, so that, people try to help me understand that, I'm still not sure.
And then our focus, because it's mandated in the law, our funding priority is for those early childhood providers based on school district areas that are designated by the DESE now as level 5 intense support, and those programs that are located in a school district that have academic distress. Areas with unserved 3 and 4-year-old children whose families' income is 200% or less of the poverty level.
And the poverty level is like, what, 41,000 for a family of 4? Is that about right?
It's around that,
So if a family makes,
Head Start is 100%,
right.
yeah.
So it varies. So we try to work that Head Start would be serving those families at 100% level, and then we pick up the others, rather than having a competition. There's no
Right.
reason to do that.
Well,
We
it
want all
was when
children.
it started.
But we fix that.
yeah,
We're working on that.
it's amazing what cooperation does.
Right,
That's for
right.
kids.
And then you can see statistics. I'm not going to go through all that, but statistics of, and this is currently, we ran this just a few days ago. So you can see that the agencies, we have center-based, home visiting combined, you have 239. Out of those, school districts, 144. So that's about 2/3 of them are ran through school districts. The co-ops, educational co-ops, and then you have the community-based, then you have home visiting, or almost 5,000, and then institutes of higher learning, there are 2 across the state. And yes, more of since the majority of our funding is for 3 and 4-year-olds, we have a higher number that are served. And then the teachers. I thought this might be interesting to you to look and see. Now, this is an average, approximate average. And again, you know, data is only as good as what is put into the data system. And we're working diligently to make sure that we have quality data in there. So you can see, as a teacher, the public school at that level, the non-public school, it's hard on ABC budget to keep up with the public school in their salary level. And then the assistant teacher, the parapro, you can see it's almost alike on that. But that's going to increase as your minimum wage increases. And then we had the longitudinal study. In 2016, it was based on first-time kindergartners that were eligible for free lunch, and that would be in the schools, the ADE schools, for all of those years. So if they went to a private school one year and then came back or whatever, they would only be counted if they're in the public school. That you'll see the average score, and then you'll see the proficiency for each of the academic years. So you can see on high proficiency, this is for the children that were in ABC or were unknown that they went to a pre-K program. They were eligible for free lunch, and you can see in the golden color those are the children that were eligible for free lunch but no record of pre-K. Then you can see the blue is for those children that eligible for free lunch and attended an ABC program, versus the gray, which those children were full price lunches. So you can see as they progressed, they followed that cohort that was in ABC all the way through fifth grade. So you can see that ABC outperformed those that were with no pre-K, with no known pre-K. And there were several years that they were keeping up with those that were at full lunch. And then we were looking at, what about retention rate? So as you can see, those with no pre-K had a higher retention rate than those that did have the ABC. So our conclusion is that preschool helps to support our education system to be more efficient. You have higher proficiency for those children that are attending quality pre-K programs. And you have fewer children that repeat grades, kindergarten through fifth grade. So I would just like to challenge all of us. You know, we can dream big. We can think beyond the boundaries. We can think beyond the box. But we've also got to plan, and we've also got to believe. But sometimes we have to put our actions to work to make this happen. And I think you can see, and I wish Tanya was able to be here, but we for years now, we've really worked hand in hand on making this a quality program and to be able to serve preschool children across the state. Sure.
Do you have any data, or would it be better not to have the data, to see if there's a difference between the pre-K programs run by and on the site of a district versus those that are ABC independent of the district?
We could pull that. I don't know that that's ever been asked.
Yeah, the reason I was wondering is if you're a pre-K and you are in regular contact, like through PLCs and everything, with that kindergarten and first grade teacher, so you know, you have a tendency. Plus, I know sometimes the districts that have pre-K, they're a lot better about saying to the OT, PT, speech, no, we're having instruction time now. You know, you need to schedule this when it's not, because I know that's a problem, because they would come and probably not deliberately, but just they had a schedule and they would come and pull the kids out, and the kids would miss the instruction at that point. So
well, we are working hand in hand with the early special education folks to make sure that training, that knowledge of what is it that these specialists are doing when they come in to work with the children. And many of them are working in the classroom with the children rather than pulling it out, that inclusion. So if
They have to plan with
right.
the teacher.
the OT especially,
Right.
I would think.
Yes, and so if they're working with little Johnny on speech or OT or whatever, they have a small group. And all these children are doing it. So the understanding of what is going on, how can we support little Johnny? And then the teachers, they do work with the teachers, so the teachers can continue that.
Reinforce that.
Mhm.
Okay. You were starting to say something, Ms. Govan?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to say we only have one Head Start program that's in a school district, and that's in Cleveland County, Rising, Arkansas.
Right.
And then also I wanted to say that as we continue to talk about collaboration, let it be known, and Mr. Keys, you're gonna enjoy this, because we have a history of working with what's now called the Division of Elementary and Secondary Ed. We work with Wendy on special ed inclusion. I've served on Kim's committee, you know, for the
Yes.
family engagement, and we actually kind of tied it in with what we had put together for family engagement. And then also Daniel Davis with the homelessness. And now we're taking a big charge on opioid and substance use. We just put a state team together, and we're looking for representation. But everything that we do in early childhood, we do but we do collaborate with the Division of Early Childhood and
I tell you what you
Secondary
might do too, the Arkansas State Chamber, the Farm Bureau, and Blue Cross Blue Shield have partnered and talking about employers and the issues regarding opioid abuse. And so you might pull some information from them too and share your information, because
absolutely.
they have a statewide funded campaign to get the word out and work with all the businesses, and if they can work with the schools as well, maybe, but I don't know if they are, but yes.
Oh my gosh, see, that's what collaboration is about. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. You know, I tried to reach out to everybody I knew, like the
Right.
health department, and I know you have a representative here with Desi that works with opioid,
Yeah,
but I
if
didn't
you'll
know
see
about
me
that.
afterwards, I'll give you a contact at the state
I will do
chamber,
that.
and you can, who you can contact there.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
Thank you all for this
And
opportunity.
another thing, you can check with Secretary Key and the people that you need to talk with, but I think if I were a legislator, this information would be very helpful to me, because they get beat up all the time instead of hearing all the good you're doing and how many children are being helped and how many children are being served. But obviously, you know, check with those you need to see if that is something that you want to do.
Let me share something with you we're really excited about too. We took a group to New Orleans to look at how the state could work better together. And we had about 3 or 4 legislators there, and Tanya was on the panel, and they had no idea that all of this was going on in early childhood. So 3 things came out of that meeting that we brought back to Arkansas. Number 1, the focus on racial equity. We have applied for the Pritzker grant. That is a grant to focus on infant and toddler, increasing infant and toddler care in Arkansas. And then the third thing was to put together a legislative caucus that would connect with early childhood to keep them up to date on the initiatives and all the work that we've been doing.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember the legislator's name, a young lady from Northwest Arkansas who's taken the charge on that, but they already have it in place, so I'm happy to share that. And to hear you say that, and we're already working on it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Here's your contact information.
Thank you.
I'll send him a text expecting to hear from you. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
A good presentation, very helpful and very informative.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Commissioner's report.
All right. So Dan's going to get us switched over with the presentation, and I'm not going to give you the entire presentation, but I am going to talk a little bit about it. And so Dan, on that link, we'll have to go. We'll have to scroll down to the all the way to the bottom of the right. On the right-hand side, I think okay, so right down there, the system log, that one, and the 2020 tab. Should be one right before the 2019 tab. Yep, right there. And under presentation column, let's click that update to Education Committee. So Senator English approached Dr. Pfeffer a couple of months ago, I think, about all the great work that was happening in the department, and they needed to know about it because they didn't know about a lot of it. And they do hear about a lot, but there were so many things that she had heard that she knew her colleagues had not heard about. So they invited us to present to the Ed Committee, and as I said, I won't go through the entire presentation, but I do want to hit some of the high points for you. And then we'll make this available to you. We'll send you the link so that you can have it as well. Always we start with our vision and mission. That's just our standard anchor slides. Then I wanted to talk to them about how when I started in this role, I started the conversation about how do we move the conversation of adequacy to one of excellence. And as we have worked over the last several years, working through our ESSA plan, working with our stakeholders, working with just looking to see what the needs of the state are. You may recognize this slide if you remember the high reliability schools work that we've been doing. The first 3 levels of high reliability schools really focus on the safe collaborative culture, effective teaching, and guaranteed and viable curriculum. And for all 3 of those, we believe, we're convinced that that's how we go from adequacy to excellence in the state. It's evidence, years of research. really show that the things that back up these 3 levels are the things that will move us in the state. Before I go back, if you look, there's something that's common through all those. There, what I would say are 2 primary focuses, and when I say this, you're going to say, well, of course. But sometimes in education and government, we lose the focus on students and the focus on teachers. Because we know that if we're not focused on students, we get focused on the wrong things, and if we're not focusing on, as a department, supporting the teachers, then they spend a lot of time doing things that are not focused on students. So the common thread are students and teachers. We have a number of initiatives that you all are well aware of. The Declaration of Learning. Arkansas was the first state in the nation that partnered with the United States Department of State on the Declaration of Learning. We're entering our 6th year there. Our computer science, I think Mr. Owen will be getting scheduled for an update, so I won't go deep into that, but a lot of work continues there. Rise Arkansas, and Ms. Newton, you talked about Arkansas Math Quest earlier and talked about the work that's going on there. Let me give you a few data points about Rise. We have 7,000 teachers that have completed the K-2 and 3-6 Rise Academies, and we have 9,000 teachers that are currently in process. Last year, in this current year, 1920, 600 administrators have completed the Rise Assessor Academy. That's as important as that other work is. The importance of having the principals and administrators going through the Assessor Academies just absolutely cannot be stressed enough because they have to know what they're looking for to be able to support their teachers. And going into the next school year, we are looking at data systems that will capture the reporting of the science of reading and the work that's going on with respect to proficiency and awareness. Many of you know that we recently were recognized, National Center for Teaching Quality, NCTQ. We have we're in the top 5, actually the top 4. We're in the top 4 states for our ed prep programs and how we're preparing our teachers to teach reading. Arkansas Tech even received an exemplary recognition as one of 15 programs in the nation with an A+ rating. We've had the most improved ratings over the last 4 years. We are going to continue. So we appreciate the collaboration with our higher ed partners, and we know that that has to continue and be strengthened on a day-in, day-out basis. We've presented to you, Stacy's presented to you about the English courses, the new English courses we've had. Talked about the focus on students. We've presented all of these at different times. The legislators were, I think, very interested in seeing those connections now and the work that we've been doing since transformation of aligning our career and technical education with what we would consider traditional education, so that it all becomes part of a traditional educational opportunity for our students, not either one or the other. Guide for Life, our No Limits campaign, the Arkansas Aware Grant, all these things are, because of the turnover in the General Assembly, sometimes we assume that everybody knows, but that just isn't the way it happens. You have new members and they don't know, but they need to know, so all these things are very helpful. Our celebration of teachers, this came on the heels of our fantastic announcement for our Milken Award winner down in Pine Bluff a couple of weeks ago. You know, and I know you value teachers here, and we try to find opportunities to recognize them. We are, Ms. McAdoo mentioned this, but I'm going to give you a little bit more information on it, because one of the elements of our Teach Arkansas campaign, especially with respect to recruitment and retention, the Impacting Tomorrow Summit, you are all invited to that. If you want to come in, I think some of you have been a part of that in the past, but we're having that again. It will be next Friday, starting at 9 a.m. at UCA. We have 30 schools committed to participate, and at least about 400 students that should be on hand for that. It's a great opportunity for interaction with our future teachers, and for them to see that, hey, the department is there to support them, support their aspirations to be in the teaching field, and we will send you out additional information about that as well. Very excited. The Teach Arkansas campaign, we are on track with all of our 5 goals, except in the area of decreasing the teacher attrition rate. It's stable. We haven't seen a drastic increase in the attrition rate. It is a little bit higher than it was when we started. But we do have a lot of work. If we're reducing the attrition rate, we still have a lot of work to do there. We've talked about how we've seen a growth in the enrollment in our ed prep programs. This was one of the exciting areas where the Certified Teacher Assistant credential, working again with CTE to create this pathway for high school students to have that pre-educator program of study to get them on track, get them college hours that put them on track for becoming a teacher. So you see a lot of work's going on, and I'm just going to slide through these or zip through these slides really quickly, because a lot of this stuff you have seen and heard, but I want to talk about the PLC pilot, especially because we got some really neat news about that last week. We are going into the 4th year. Again, we had about 100 letters of intent from schools and districts who want to be part of the Professional Learning Communities pilot. We've had 2 schools that have been recognized recently. Warren School District just received, first in the state, level 1 certification for high reliability schools. If you'll recall, high reliability schools and professional learning communities, all based on the same research. I told the legislature that they share the same DNA. So Warren School District just a few weeks ago received that recognition. And then Ballman Elementary in Fort Smith last week was notified that they are being recognized as a model PLC school. And that is the first school in our cohort 1 of the pilot that has received that recognition. We expect there will be more of those to follow. Mr. Benton told you a few weeks ago about the cyber response team, cyber threat response team. That work is growing, and not only is it growing in the K-12, the public ed arena, it's growing in the general public arena, and I appreciate the leadership of the team there creating that. I thought it was, oh yeah, we did that probably in December, and I went back and looked, and it was last fall when they kicked that off, so just time really flies. And then we had a great celebration this week up in the Rotunda with Arkansas Career Technical Education Month. That day was celebrated at the Capitol. The student groups from all the state student groups from all over the state, and representatives from the schools were there. FFA, FBLA, FCCLA, HOSA, you name it. I mean, they were all there in the Rotunda. Everyone wanted to get their picture with the governor. I think we were a little bit late for a cabinet meeting because the governor was trying to get a picture made with all the students. It was a great day of celebration, and really showed us how for our students, again, focusing on that, CTE is something that is really embedded and an integral part of their school experience. Anyway, and that's, I'll stop there with that portion of my report, just to see if anybody has any questions.
It was a great report, and I thought it was well received by Joint Ed. Like on those CTE and those kind of celebrations, when you're going to do, if you'll have Kim or someone also be sure the state board members know about those things, then one or more of us might actually be able to work it into our schedule and attend, so we can show interest and be a part.
Okay?
Just one quick question.
Ms. Newton?
On the teacher retention, I know the Teach Again was a campaign last year. Are we going to do another campaign like that, or is that just something that's ongoing?
Well, it's ongoing, but, you know, when we have the team in place now, we did lose some momentum. I'll be just honest with you. I think we lost some momentum on some of that work because we had some turnover in that unit. But we're fully staffed now with the work there. And my push to them has, let's regain that momentum. That's one of those areas that we're going to come back to and refocus on and try to get data, because one of the things we learned from the first round of Teach Again is we knew how many teachers came back and got their certification or re-upped, but we never found out how many of them actually went back in the classroom.
Okay.
So that's something Dr. Pfeffer and I have talked about. Carly is now that she's on board, Ms. Saraceni, to try to refine that system so that we can not only know how many come back, but actually how many go back into the classroom.
Okay.
So yes, ma'am, we're working on that.
Okay, so I think communication is a big deal. So, you know, if it's going to be ongoing and it's effective, then we
Absolutely.
get the word out.
I come across teachers on a pretty routine basis that say, hey, I'd like to get back into, what do I have to do?
Right.
And, you know,
They don't know.
the Teach Again campaign did not get to them at
Right.
whatever point in time. So it just shows that we need to be constantly pushing those things out.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So that is, well, I've already, my other announcement I made during that presentation with the Impacting Tomorrow Summit. So, Madam Chair, that is all that I had to talk about today.
Okay. Under new business, it isn't on here, and if somebody will be sure to alert Gina. I'd like for Dr. Hill and Ms. Newton, if they will, serve with me on the nomination committee. That nomination committee is supposed to be named before March 1st each year. So the reason I'd need Gina to know is because she then surveys all the board members to see who's willing to serve as chair or vice chair for coming year. But and I think what we will do, if y'all can get here, if you can't, don't worry about it. We can do it over lunch or whatever at the next board meeting, because then those announcements would be made in April. So if that's okay with y'all, then we will do that. And Dr. Hill, your schedule is tighter than mine or Ms. Newton's, so if you can't meet ahead of time, we can do it at noon or right after the adjournment of the meeting. Yeah, okay. So do we have any other new business? Seeing none, do we have any public comment? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Hill, second by Dr. Moore. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.